The flow wasn't always immaculate. Took a stab at it, crafted it over years. Manic shit, blood, sweat, and tears. There's love left in here, enough to keep me set for years. A few tears, some new gears to kick into. Ripping the beats like rap gifts, re-rap it. My presence on is present like a re-gift. Got it and passed it. You novice, this classes. Who got him a master's? A problem for rappers, yeah, not even factors. I'm no elitist by nature. I dug deep on this paper. Repeated the labor, well seasoned with flavor. I'm top chef now, the rest bow. They kowtow to this Bronx style. Native spitter at powwows. Spent a decade searching the earth for 7 seas. Landed at TME, started planning my BNE. Met some dudes that was living what I was thinking. Hip-hop, I was tripping like I was sinking.
And I think if there's a secret to human nature, it's the fact that we aren't satisfied. We're never satisfied. I hope you're absolutely plagued with dissatisfaction through your whole life. Because if you are, you'll always strive to do better. And the next one that I do is going to be my masterpiece. Probably won't be this one, but the next one.
Mic check. Now I'm on pace. Haters can keep a long face. Caught in the wrong space on airwaves and airspace. Get scared straight like troubled youth. Ruffled view. Feathers along the way. Hard feelings have gone away. Went from shadow kicks with Johnny Cage on Sonya Blade. Zoning while bumping Johnny Blaze. Letting the ganja blaze. To being on my way to mastering what I started. Blasting through all my targets. My journey up and down this boulevard was full of art. Learn to pull your heartstrings as well as pull your card. I do my part to keep the game fresh. In the same breath, shit is classical. Dragon flew out the mandible. Masterful tracks I do stand the test of time. A paperback's worth of facts in just one line. A spitfire that got them falling like tripwire. Wasn't shit prior to all of my fucking misfires.
I think probably nothing will teach you more than just experimenting. Do as many different things as you have the nerve to do. Shoo, just go for it. Sometimes you learn more from mistakes than you do from trying so hard. Sometimes those mistakes turn into be the best learning devices we have.
What's good? My name's Will. Thanks for being here. Today is a special day on the channel. I mean, this is like not a normal day, I guess I should say. Not necessarily like a super special day for any reason, but just let's just say I got a request from a viewer. Let's see. My audio looks pretty strong. Let me just check. I know that the music came through. My audio looks pretty strong. Yeah, okay, good. All right, so, yeah, I got a request. Okay. Here, I should be able to do this. So the question is, well, maybe I won't be able to. Oh, here we go. There we go. All right. So the question is, I'm going to zoom out on this one too. It's about, the modules and my choices, the picks that I made. So shout out. I'm sure your name is really easy to say, but I'm not even going to try. So, and you can hear my dog running around upstairs, so I apologize for that. But anyway, oh, I'm sorry. This is the wrong question. That's not even a question, is it? I guess I should have looked at that a little bit better. Yeah, and that was a great, that was also a very good recommendation, by the way. So the question or request, I'm going to pull it up right here. That's funny because I didn't even think to look to see that I was screenshotting the correct thing. Okay. So, let's see. I'll pull this right up here. Oh, there we go. Okay, so there was a drop-down menu. I didn't want to miss the whole question here. So the question is, it'd be great to describe. It would be great to describe all the modules. And I'm going to pull it up right here now that I've screenshotted it. Can make it a little bit easier. Okay. It would be great to describe the different modules you have and why this edition of modules, any mistakes, things. Basically, they just really wanted me to give a overall impression of the modules that I picked and why I picked them, and kind of like how I feel about it now is kind of how I took it. So these kinds of things are great because it gives me an opportunity to connect with the viewer and to really expand on some of the stuff that I find very interesting. But I don't always share this stuff because, I want to share what I enjoy. And if it aligns with what you enjoy, then that's great. So all I need to know is what you want me to do. And then if it lines up, then I'll do it. So let me know if there's something else I can do, if you're watching and something catches your eye. Okay, so having said all that, we're just going to go ahead and get started. Since my audio seems pretty good, I'm going to take these out so I don't have to hear my own voice in my ear, which is really annoying. And we might even get into some of the functions, like some of the demoing of it. But basically, I'm going to unplug everything, and I'm going to just start to kind of chip away at what this is all about, what each one is, and, I'll give you more information than you probably want. So if you have specific questions, if you're here, you have specific questions about something, maybe I just barely touch on it, you want to know a little bit more, I'm trying to keep up with the chat, so just go ahead and let me know, and I'll try to go over it a little bit better. So, okay, let me go ahead and unplug these. So modular people probably looking at me right now, either live or on playback, saying, why are you unplugging everything? I do this a lot, It's just because I want to be efficient at what I do, and the only way to get good at doing something is to do it over and over and over again. So that intro track, that's called Vision Flows. That's on the 2-piece that I dropped with Mike Titan. It's on Bandcamp. You can also stream it on Spotify. Any support you want to give is a blessing, so thank you. So that track in particular is all about trying. Not succeeding, not necessarily wanting or having like a goal in mind or like an expectation, but literally just trying, putting one foot in front of the other foot. It's really no more complicated than that for me as far as being an artist, a creator, somebody that wants to inspire other people, because I know what it's like to be in your basement for years on end, wishing that you had other people to talk about music with, to teach you, to mentor you. That's not something that everybody thinks is in the cards for them. So anything that I can do to make you feel more comfortable with where you're trying to go, I will do it. So just let me know what's going on with you. I'm a person of relationships. So you can never have too many good people in your life. So anyway, I'm just about done unplugging all this stuff. And this will make it easier for me to explain these things too. And I'm going to zoom in, and I'm going to give you a real understanding. It may not be a cohesive explanation, I'll warn you. I'll probably be jumping around because that's the way my mind works. But if you're here, this is why I do live streams. Because if I do a live stream and you're here and I'm jumping around, then you have the opportunity to straighten me out and put me back on track with what you want to know. I'm a creator, but I'm also an experiment. I took full ownership over Bob Ross and his teachings, a full ownership of implementing that into my life. So he works with a process called alla prima. Well, he worked with a process called alla prima, which means wet on wet. It's the basic kind of translation. And that just means not waiting for the paint to dry before you go to the next layer. That's how I work. So in a musical sense, I am a producer of wet on wet technique. I try not to get caught up in perfection. I try not to get caught up in anything that can distract me from my goal. But modular is its own thing, and it's very easy to get distracted. So this is a beautiful way to hone your distractibility, you know, because you have to stay focused on where you're going. You have a decision to make at every single step. You got a decision to make about where the audio is coming from, where it's going, what's going to modulate it, how are you going to record it, you know, like these types of things. So you're constantly making decisions, and you're constantly having to do them kind of quickly. Also on Instagram, I think it's in the description. You can follow me over there. I also do this other thing called Battle Patchers. That's going to be starting up again, where, since I'm all unplugged here, where I will create a patch, and I will make a beat with it, and I will perform it with style in 30 minutes. So it's not a bad thing to unplug your stuff and plug it back in. It just teaches you how to work quicker. And I better take this off. My Odd Pilot tags. Gotta have them. So, yeah, follow the Odd Pilot. He's a dope dude. He's got Spotify and a Bandcamp now. And I can say he's a dope dude because I know him well. All right. So, let me take a look. I see that there are some people here. Let me just make sure that there's nothing that I need to look at as far as like audio or whatever, because I don't want to do all this and have it not even be part of the stream. So give me 1 second. Let me look. Let me look and see what's up with the chat, just so I'm kind of like on board. Oh, hey, what up, Bobcat? Okay. All right, cool. It's Bobcat. Bobcat's here. Bobcat's my bro. You can check him out too. He's on YouTube. He's got a dope YouTube channel. He's dropping tapes and beats and stuff all the time. Yeah, Bobcat, drop a link to your YouTube channel right in the live stream. So, okay, let me get back here. Yeah, there's no rules. Thanks, bro. Hey, I'm willing to share. So if it teaches something, great, you know? Okay, let me see if all my stuff is set up properly. Looks like we're good. Okay. Now, let's get to it. I'm going to grab, every time I go live, I get nervous. When I get nervous, my mouth goes dry. So just give me 1 second. Let me put some water in my mouth. Where's my drink of water? Oh man, I'm going to have to drink a gross soda from 2 days ago. Oh, gross. Canada Dry. You've probably seen this on my channel plenty of times. Diet Canada Dry. It's basically like my Gatorade. It's really disgusting. All right. On we go. Let's talk about the first row. Okay, the first row from left to right. We've got a small compressor. I think this is a 2 HP compressor. It could be 1. I'm not sure. I can't remember. One thing I want to tell you guys is, as a comprehensive kind of modular explanation, I should probably tell you about what this is as an overall concept. Like I said, I'm going to be jumping around a little bit, but let's just settle in. Let me settle in, settle down, you know, because this is what happens. So, first of all, we have an entire system here capable of making beats, capable of chopping samples, capable of sending MIDI, receiving MIDI, turning MIDI into CV. It's also capable of turning USB into MIDI, 5-DIN MIDI. It can do effects on the fly. I can receive signal from my MPC-X or my Force, because I've got 1/4-inch jacks on the modular. So I can also do polyphonic patching, which means more than one sound at a time. So typically in a Eurorack module, you get one voice, one oscillator, or you get something that's part of a voice. A synth voice is an oscillator, an amp, it's a filter, it's an envelope, an LFO. You know, these are things. It's a low frequency oscillator is an LFO. There's so many things to talk about, so I don't want to get too deep into minutia unless it's wanted, because I can break this down in more specific terms for each thing. But I'm trying to keep this simple for the hip hop heads, for the people that are into making boom bap or hip hop, of any style, that want to incorporate this stuff. I'm trying to keep it simple for those folks, because that's where I come from, is the knowledge of sampling, chopping, slicing, sequencing MIDI. So I use it basically the same way I use my MPC. So what I have in here is a bunch of effects and things to mangle audio, but I can also create my own sounds. So in a single synth voice, you have those elements I talked about, but you can get these elements all in different parts and pieces. That's why a Eurorack modular synth is appealing to a lot of people, because in something like this, you're buying something that incorporates all of the elements in one box. I get polyphonic notes. I can play 16 notes at one time. I can also use an LFO to modulate it. I have a couple oscillators in here, plus a sub-oscillator. A sub-oscillator is just a square wave that plays off of one of the oscillators. So if oscillator 1 is let's say, I'm playing the C note on oscillator 1, then the sub-oscillator will be like an octave below whatever key I'm playing. So it kind of gives it more depth of character. So all these elements cost you about $2,000. In one of these, this synth itself, right now, if you wanted to buy it new, is probably around $2,000. There's other things that have similar capabilities, and I did a video on this. You can find it on my channel if you're interested. This is a great thing to start out with. This is the Mini Nova. I wish I could lift it higher without pulling everything out. Here, let me just unplug it. There we go. So it's a Mini Nova. This has built-in effects. It has like 3 oscillators. It's got sequencer, arpeggiation, basically everything. And look, it's even got the almighty vocoder. So that's dope. If you want to get all of that functionality into a modular system, then you're going to have to spend some cash because each piece is its own thing. So I'm going to take questions too. Oh, where's my seat? I'm going to take questions too when I get to a point where I can stop without getting distracted. So leave some questions and I'll get in there. All right. So a synth voice I've explained. Now let's talk about what I did. So shout out to Gamma Pods. Gamma Pods was in the modular kind of research and developing his rack before I did. And he was here in November last year. We did some work together, but it was mostly just 2 dudes hanging out, chilling, making music, just enjoying the vibes. But what that did do was it sparked both of us to want to go on a little bit more, go on a little bit of a journey in a way. He had some space issues. He would love to have something like this, but his space means he has to build it from the ground up so he can use his space in the best way he can. So he started researching about his. I started also researching because I was trying to help him make good decisions. Because I'm pretty familiar with synthesis and familiar with technology, and patching. I can make my own sounds from scratch intentionally. And he, was giving me information and asking me questions about certain things, and I was asking him questions about certain things. So we ended up developing kind of an understanding about where we wanted to go with this together. And we have plans. So we're on our way. It's only been months since we started our modular journey together. And we're making really good progress. We're both making beats live. We both have the ability to work with other producers and other artists like vocalists, rappers, and whatnot. So, it's going to happen. We have an ultimate goal in mind, which we haven't really revealed yet. But anyway, here we are trying to build what we need in order to achieve what we're trying to achieve. So there's a goal in mind. That's kind of step 1 with modular. You can do it the way I did it at first, which is ask the closest person to you who has the most knowledge about the subject what they would recommend you buy. That's literally what I did. I said, I want you, with your knowledge of my workflow, to tell me what you think with your somewhat limited knowledge base too, because the 2 of us couldn't even really decide about anything at the time, but he had more than I did. What would you recommend? And so he gave me a list of things that I should get, and I got them. So from there, once I had the first 5 modules, were, and I'll never remember the name of it. Oh man, I hate that I need to write down what this is called because I can literally never remember what it's called. Gamma, if you see this, please leave it in the comment. This is the one that has the 5-step sequencer that can be split into 2 pieces. I haven't even used this module very much yet because I'm still working on how to use it and understand it. And at this point, I haven't needed it yet. So yeah, and I can also get a better visual of this. I see that it's kind of blurry. I can actually do a better visual of this if you guys want an up-close visual. Let me see. This might actually be better because I can switch the camera to my other mobile phone that I only use for this stuff. Okay. I think I have to turn this one off first. Did that switch? All right, cool. It did switch, but it's still zoomed in, so hold on. There we go. All right, cool. So, oh, my mouse is still in the way, isn't it? Okay, so this is the one here that I am not sure, I can't remember what it's called, but it's great. It does a great job. You know, when I have used it, it's just very complicated for me. It's not one that I find really intuitive. See if I can make that not as blurry. You know what? Let me lower the brightness of those lights. I see that that's kind of an issue here. Okay. Man, there's a lot to keep in track of a live stream, really is. And I don't know if that's getting less bright or not. Anyway, let's just move on. Okay, so first purchase was this guy, Rings. I got Magneto, and I got oh, it was one of these mixers, and I think that's it. I think there was like a power supply. So that was the first thing I needed, was a power supply and something to make sound with, which is the Rings. I got this to sequence with. So you need a source, you need something to sequence it, you need something to power it, and something to feed the audio. So I don't even think I had a filter yet, because Rings has a built-in kind of filter. So that's the route I went at first. So I didn't even have an enclosure. I built a little thing out of wood, and that was just fine. The power supply itself is a very small module, and it just works off of a computer power cable. So you just plug it in here. This is what's wonderful about modular, is that it's always ready to go. So it plugs in there. As soon as I turn that on, I'm ready to make music. And same thing with this one. So this particular module is the Power something 35. Row Power. So this is the Row Power 35. The Row Power 35 can power 7 modules. So you're going to need some sort of bus board. So this is called a flying bus board. This is how you plug in all your modules. So this plugs in to the first power module, and then all your other modules plug in here. And that's how they get power. So you can build whatever you want. I built this out of wood. I spray painted my name, The Odd Pilot, right in there. You know, and just to make it very simple. So where we are right now is we've got the ability with all of this stuff. And in retrospect, I probably wouldn't change much about the purchases I made initially. Because once I got them, then I was able to kind of see, okay, I am able to make audio, make music, make sounds. I am able to sequence. I am able to mix it, but I don't have a way to record them yet. Actually, yes, I did. I remember now. This was also one of the ones I first got, because now I remember I did a video where all I had was this Magneto, Rings, and the power, Row Power, plus that. And I was actually able to do a live beat making the first day I got it. This thing I'm going to talk about a lot. So let's get to that. But let's just finish talking here. So we've got this small little compressor right here. This is like a 2 or 1U, I don't know, or HP, I'm not sure. HP means this is a length measurement. So this is a 104 HP. From here to here is 104 HP. This is like something that, you know, is basically done with, you know, metrics and things. I'm not exactly sure the math. Maybe somebody in the comments can let us know. But because I have a dual 104, you know, you could, I guess you could call it, wait, is that right? 84, 104. Okay, yeah, so this is a 104 HP, but 6U. So the U measurement is talking about the height, because this is not a standard. This is just one of many forms that you can get. There are the other modules that are very short, that are only this tall. They go to different systems. So you kind of have to have an idea of where you want to go and what type of modules you want. If you want to go with the DOEPFER stuff, which is DOEPFER, they have a whole range of different measurements and things that they use. So this is a 104 HP 3U here. This is also 104 HP 3U. So this system itself right here is a 104 HP 6U system. Now down here I have another 104U. Oh, sorry, HP. See, I'm it's this is kind of a confusing thing, but let me just keep saying it because I will eventually not keep making the same mistakes. So this is 104 HP 3U. So I have in total 104 HP, 9U of modules minus this blank space, which I still have room for something. But in that blank space, you can see that this entire system has its own power system. So this power system comes up through here and mounts onto the back side of this so that all these modules can be plugged in. And this is what it looks like. There is a, let's see, I don't have a flashlight. There is a board in there that goes the entire length of this on the bottom, and then all these modules plug into that. It's similar to this, but there's way more ports. They're basically like touching each other. They're stacked all the way across, so there's probably like 30 of them. And that allows you to plug in many, many things and power a lot of stuff. So the power management is important. You have to look at what your power module is capable of putting out for power. Each module is hungry for different amounts of current. And if you don't have the proper power supply that matches the current, then you're going to possibly run into problems. So you also don't want to have too much because it's a waste. So power management is important, but it's something that is kind of, you just need to get into this stuff and you'll figure it out. There's no like magic, you know, wave your wand and there are sites called, modular, was it Modular Grid? I think it's called Modular Grid, where you can actually build this system. So I have a build in Modular Grid. Gamma has a build in Modular Grid. A lot of us have builds in Modular Grid because it allows you to virtually build your stuff before you buy everything to make sure it all fits, to make sure the power management is going to be okay, and you also can lay it out so you can see how much it's going to cost you. So you started out with a concept, and then you start building towards your concept. For me, it was about building a modular sampler that also had the ability to chop and sequence and all of that. But at its root, this is an MPC. And you've got pads here that I can play, just like pads on an MPC. So I can load in a kick, snare, and hi-hat here and play them just like this. Or I can use these 16 ports to trigger each one of the 16 pads. So if I want to trigger this pad, then I would put a trigger source here, and that would trigger that pad. So a trigger is just a gate, and we won't get into synthesis and all that with modular. I just want to talk about the modules themselves and why I chose them. So this will not sequence, even though it does do sampling, and you can also use it as a synthesizer, or you can use it as an effects module. This is probably the best purchase I made, because not only is it a bitbox, which it's running bitbox firmware. So there's also synthbox firmware, and there's FXbox firmware. And all that means is you take your SD card out, right here, and you plug in the other firmware, you turn it on by holding these two buttons at the same time, and then it loads the new firmware. So this is 3 modules in one. And I'm sticking with Bitbox for now because I'm doing, you know, some different things with it, and that's how I like to use it. Okay, so, all right. We've talked about why I purchased the first bank of, you know, the first shipment because I had no idea what I was doing, and I needed help from a friend. So the second shipment of modules, I was able to pinpoint a little bit more accurately what I needed. So the next big purchase for me was the Bafaco Performance Mixer. This is a 2-piece system. It looks like a traditional mixer because it is. So it's a 2-part system. You've got your expander and you've got your main mixer. This can work without this. This cannot work without this. So this is just an expansion. What the expansion does, actually let's talk about the mixer. The mixer has 6 inputs. 1, 2, 3. Let's do it this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, and it has 6 outputs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These are 1/4-inch jacks. So you're sending in an 1/8-inch signal through input number 1, and then it immediately comes out of the direct output on 1/4-inch jacks. So if I wanted to go into a recorder or anything, then I could come straight out of here and record. It also has a master output. So this is a combination of all the signals, and it's in stereo. I can pan left and right on each channel, and I can also use these sends. 3 of them. Now it's a little bit special to have 3 sends on a single module. It's not typical. So all of these sends correspond to these. Send 1, 2, 3. Send 1, 2, 3. And this is 1, that's 2, that's 3. So if I want to send signal 1, let's say I've got Magneto, which is an effects unit. It's like a delay. Let's say I want to send my oscillator to the delay. I just have to go like this. And now, number 1, because this is channel 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So channel 1, send 1 is going to come out here. So all I have to do is plug a wire from here into there. And then another wire coming out from here back in to one of the 3 pairs of stereo returns. So it'll come out of here into there and then back in, and it will be mixed going out of a master stereo output. There's also a secondary master stereo output that comes out on 1/8-inch. So you got 1/4-inch stereo output, 1/8-inch stereo outputs. And this is a mixed signal with everything as well. So even if you're doing sends, it'll still come out here. I also have, you can cue. You can do PFL. I can cue up a sound, And I can hear it coming from here, out of the headphone jack, before you guys hear it. So if I'm worried that the signal's going to be too hot or that it doesn't sound good with what I'm doing, I can kind of preview it first and then send it to you after. So that is the heart of this entire system, the mixer. Now, I picked this specific mixer because I wanted as many sends as possible. That mimics my big mixer. Okay, so still hear me okay, I think? All right, so that mimics my big mixer. So I'll try to make this quick because I know I'm away from the mic. But my big mixer has 10 stereo outputs. Goes like this. Okay. All right, so right here, these are my stereo, these are my outputs. I've got 4 mix outputs that are in mono. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I've got 3 sets of stereo outputs. They go over here. And those all go to different things. So I have one that goes to the MPC, and all my stuff goes under the rug, around the back, up to the equipment, or it goes under this rug. So lots of cables, and they go to, I got one that comes to the 2KXL, right here. One that goes to the X, right here. I got a stereo. Those are mono, but I got a stereo signal that goes to the Force, because this is what I use to record all my tracks. This is what I use to really produce with. Everything else I use to make beats, but I use the Force to combine all the sources. My drums are all mic'd up. So I'm getting a multi-track signal into my mixer, and then I can record it over here, or I can record it on the computer, or whatever. So that was my thinking, was I wanted to mimic that workflow because I understand that workflow, and I have kind of trained myself to be efficient at that workflow in live situations. So if I can get as efficient here, you know, then I'm pretty much able to do anything that I want to do within the modular world. So the mixer is very, very important for my specific. It's the most important thing out of everything that I have on in my modular system and in my bigger system in the studio here. The most important thing, the only thing in this studio that I cannot live without is the mixer. So everything else in here, I can make do without. If all I had was an iPad and, you know, some synths, I would be good to go, because I could send everything to the big mixer and record it all in USB. So with the mixer, it kind of made me see that having one output send going to my magneto was great, but then I still had 2 left over. And then I started to think, okay, well, maybe I need another effects unit that can do different things other than just a reverb or a delay. So what I ended up doing was purchasing the Modbat Modular Performer. And this is an effects unit that uses these arcade buttons to trigger your effects processing grid. So if you want to do a delay, then you would hold that down. When you let it go, it stops. If you want to lock it into place, you hold down Shift, and that locks it into place. And then you can affect the amount of the delay or whatever, you know, normal parameters. If I want to glitch and beat repeat, that's here. And you can affect the timing of all that. This is a tape stop. So I have a lot of videos where I'm using this stuff live, making beats, performing, things like that. And this last one is a reverb. So not only can I send to Magneto, and Magneto has its own performance capabilities, because Magneto can sample. Magneto can sample and you can play back patches. It can also loop. And it can also be triggered by CV. It also can, you can actually freeze the audio. So this has a bank of green lights, but it also has a bank of red lights. So the red lights can trigger different things than the green lights. The green lights, what they do, they signal a feedback, like it's like locking into place your feedback amount. So without it turned on, it's just going to tail off. Your feedback is just, for your delay, it's just going to tail off. If you lock it into place, then it will stay. It'll stay, your feedback will remain, and then you can keep building on it. It can get crazy though if you're not careful, because you can send your feedback, too much. So triggering the freeze works with the red button, and when you're playing audio into Magneto, if you hit the first red button, it locks into place whatever's coming through Magneto, and it will repeat it. If you have it clocked right here, then it will do beat repeats on beat to a tempo. Now let's talk about tempo. How do you sync all this? There's a lot of ways to sync it. You can use an MPC, because an MPC X has 8. Is it 8 or 10? Okay. It's 8. So the MPC can do 8 CV or gate signals. If you want to create a time, if you want to basically sync all this stuff with a clock, with a sync, then you would turn one of the outputs into a gate signal, and that can be done in your menu. And then you would plug in your CV out of that gate, whatever gate you're using, 1 through 8, and then you would plug that into the clock of Magneto. Then what you would do is you would put a trigger on beat. So you would turn your metronome on or whatever, or use your sequencer, and you would drop a note at every bar or every half bar. It has to be a consistent thing, because that's what it's going to read. It's going to read that little trigger. That's how it sends it a tempo. Or you can get something like this. This was in the third batch of modules. I bought everything in 3 batches. So the third batch included Poly 2, which I'll talk about that. It's got USB. It's also got regular MIDI. It's a host, so you can do 2 forms of USB. A and B. And so the Poly 2, the voltage block, this is the Swan. So the SWN is a polyphonic module. I've done some videos on my channel with this. So you got 6 notes of polyphony, so you can do chords, you can do all kinds of stuff. You know what? I actually did 4 batches, because all of my AJH synths, all of these, the mini mods, I actually did a video unboxing all of these. I bought them all in one session. So I got the AJH synths. Oh, I'm sorry, it's upside down. That's why I'm having a hard time finding it. And they work upside down too. All modules can be upside down if you want. The mini mod, this is the LFO. Then the AJH synths, This is the Minimod VCO. I'm sorry, the filter. The VCO is up here. VCO is a voltage controlled oscillator. So you got an oscillator, a filter, an LFO, and you've got an amp. So what this does is this stops because this thing is always eating. This machine right now, even though there's nothing playing, it's eating. You just can't hear it. There's audio coming out of this right now. What your job is to tame the audio. That's what you're doing here. This entire thing right now is causing so much chaos, you'd be shocked if I just plugged everything into everything and let you hear it. It wouldn't make any sense. You would not, it wouldn't be sounding good, but what you have to do is you have to tame this monster and finesse it into sounding good. And it takes a little time to understand how all this stuff works. So if you're confused by the stuff I'm talking about, first of all, I am too, still. And it's totally normal because this is a lot to take in. But that doesn't mean we don't take it in or we don't try to learn it just because it's difficult. So the AJH synths, I also ended up with an ADSR. This is how I can get a more sustained note rather than just a beep, 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 beep. It can be like a longer note, or it can have an attack. It can kind of gradually come in. And so that's what I use it for. I typically make simple patches because I'm going to mangle them and I'm going to affect them and I'm going to record them. I'm trying to make music with it. So I don't really get super complex with my modulation routing matrix because I'm using it live most of the time. So I need to make a sound and then modulate it. Usually I work in audio. A lot of people like to work in CV or they like to work in MIDI. For some reason, I've always really been attracted to working in audio. So everything gets made here and either gets sent to the Deluge, to the Bitbox, to the Force, or to the MPC. So whatever I make here does not stay here. Once I make it, it gets either chopped, recorded as a loop, recorded as part of a beat here, or recorded as a clip, or as a part of the arrangement. So it's important that I do all this stuff in a special way. If I am recording to my Deluge, then I have to remember that when I resample, I'm going to be resampling everything that's on the Deluge. So if I have my drums on the Deluge, and then I record my synth patches into the Deluge, now when I go to chop, I'm going to end up resampling and getting both of those signals together. So typically, I have to have each piece of my arrangement on a different machine so that I can use my big mixer behind me to route audio in a way that allows me to perform with it. So I'll record a loop here, and then I'll send that loop after it's recorded to my MPC in real time, and I will chop it live while it's playing. Then I will trigger off the loop, and then when it gets to the end and it shuts off, I'm ready to start playing the chops back over here. And that just keeps me going. It keeps the flow of the performance going. So I have to have multiple places to record, multiple places to arrange, multiple places to sequence, and the modular has the ability to do all of those things, but I don't always do them all just within the rack. So that's just a little explanation as to, I'm sure that people that make modular beats like, ModBap, or just make, modular music, they really get into the intricate details of their synth patching, using different, blending techniques for CV, because you can blend CV signals to create new ones. There's all kinds of things you can do. And I just haven't gotten to the place yet where I need to experiment more. I'm experimenting a lot, but it's mostly in audio. So you need to have a complete synth voice if you want to create music that is something you would typically hear. You can do without a filter, you can do without an amp, but you're going to get a drone. So a drone sound is perfect if you make ambient music or whatever, but for me, I want to be able to create movement, to be able to record, chop, and things like that. So let's see. All right, I think this is probably a good time, since I've actually talked about every small piece that I have, I think, to look at the chat and see if there are any questions, and if there's not, that's fine. Where will I go next? I'll talk about the Poly 2 and why the voltage block is really impressive with the Performer as a duo. So these kind of 3 or 4 modules, actually all of these modules right here are basically good enough to do anything you want. Like, I could do without all of this if I wanted to, because the Bitbox has 2 inputs, audio, and it has 4 outputs. So I could send a different, if I wanted to record a synth patch, I could send out on 1. If I recorded a loop with this, I could send that out on 1. Then I could record a drum break and chop it up and send that out on 2. And then I could do a bass line with my oscillator and send that out of 3. And then I could do a lead synth with my rings and send that out of 4. And I could use voltage block to sequence all that. And I could use the Performer to basically, mangle it in real time. I mean, I don't even need to use rings because this does 6 voices. So I could use 1 voice for a bass line, 2 voices for a chord, or 3 voices for a chord. Then I could do a lead on the 5th voice, and on the 6th voice I could just do like weird stuff, like little blips or whatever. And this has 6 LFOs independent. So let me wipe this off. So not only can you do 6 voices, but you can also use the 6 LFOs right here, 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 and the indicated light shows you what the LFO is doing. So this one is just pulsing. Boom, boom. This one's pulsing. They're all set on a time. So you can actually change each one if you want. You can make this one faster, that one slower. You can change the waveform. Right now they're kind of at a sine wave, I think. So if I wanted to change the waveform, and I wanted to change the speed, see, now it's more controlled. And then if I want to clock it using this clock input from my Poly 2, then it'll stay in beat on time. Then you send that to a delay and then record it in the Bitbox. So I hope I'm making sense, but let me take a look at the chat, and yeah, we'll go from there. All right. I hope this is interesting or helpful in some way. Oh man, was I seriously on that back mic the whole time? Damn it. That sucks. I hope you guys could hear me. Could you guys hear me okay? Let me know, bro. Please. Hey, what up, CV? I see you, bro. Cool, man. Peace. Yeah, the Swan is very dope. All right. So let's keep it moving then. If everybody's good to go, I'm just gonna keep it moving. I'll talk about that real quick. The sequencing using the voltage block. If anybody has any questions or anything, just leave them in there and I'll look back. Looks like y'all are good. Q, good to see you, man. Thanks for being here, bro. And Bobcat. I hope I didn't miss anybody. Doesn't look like it. All right, cool. So, make this bigger. All right, we got some people in here. We got a couple folks in here. I hope you guys are well. Let me ask you guys this. Are you guys into the close-up? Are you guys into the close-up view, or do you want me to use this other camera? Do you want me to use the one I'm using now, or the one I was using a minute ago? Let me know what's up, because it's easier for me to do this, what I'm doing right here, but I can use my thing if it's better. Let me know what you prefer. I mean, I would take a suggestion from whoever asked, but if they're not here to see it yet, then I just want to make sure that I'm giving the viewers, you know, a good experience. So let me know. Okay, this one. All right, cool. Bobcat says go with it. So let's bring it up like this. If anybody wants me to use the other one, let me know. I can do both. Man, that's like bright and blurry. Let me fix that. That's a little better. Okay. Let me know if that's good. All right, let me go over to this other mic. I should have been over here on this mic, so apologize for that. All right, so the sequencing situation here and why these are really good together. So let me just demonstrate. It'll be way easier for me to explain this if I just demonstrate it. So I got all my cables. Okay, I got all my cables here. So let's get a signal. I'm going to use a square wave coming straight out of this monster. I'm going to take that square wave and I'm going to go straight into my filter. You can do this however you want to do it. It's totally up to you. There's no rules to this. So I'm going to come out of the filter and I'm going to go into the amp so I can control the loudness. Other than that, it's just going to eat. And you're not going to be able to control it. So now it's coming into the amp. I actually want to bypass the mixer right now. So I want to go from the amp straight into Performer. If you use channel 1 on the Performer, that will sum them into a stereo signal. That's how I work. Unless I have a true stereo signal, then I just use the single input, because it's going to be pretty much the same thing. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I really don't know what I'm talking about. All right, so now what I have is, check this out. Yo, that's kind of bright though. Let me fix that. Maybe that's better. Okay, so right now I've got a single signal going into Performer. Now I've got a sum that's turned into a signal, a stereo signal. So I'm going to go out of the stereo now because I actually want a stereo signal. So it's taking my mono signal and it's turning it into a stereo signal. So that's left, that's right. I'm going to make sure my audio is turned down so I don't kill you guys. And now I need to choose. Let me get the same length cables, I should say. I try to stay neat and tidy if I can. Most of the time I can't. Okay, let me put my headphones in so I can hear what you guys are hearing, because I don't have my monitors on in here because I don't want to have you guys hearing double signal. Okay. All right, so now we're going to pick an input. I'm going to choose 5 and 6. I choose 5 and 6 because it's at the bottom and I know that this isn't going to change. This performer will stay plugged in to 5 and 6. Everything else will be routed with the others and also with the returns. These returns can actually be used as an input as well, and it has a high and low range. Okay, so let's plug into 5 and 6. Okay. All right, so we got our signal coming out. It's going into the filter. It's going into the amp. The amp is all the way turned up right now because I want to make sure that we have a signal before I ramp it back down. I want to make sure that the amp is going to actually trigger the signal, but let's make sure there is one first. Okay, so now all we should have to do is bring up the volume on input number 1 on the filter. Okay, I'm going to bring it up an octave. Or sorry, I'm going from 32 foot to 16 foot. Okay, so now you hear it. But we don't want to just have a static bass. Although it's dope and I would love that because that's what I'm all about. We need to be able to control this. So let's turn the amp down so that the audio does not pass through anymore. Now we'll turn up the input again where it was. So now the only way we're going to be able to hear this is if we trigger the amp. So now we need a trigger. There's all kinds of ways you can trigger. I'll show you a way that you can trigger something manually. Actually, I've never tried this, so it might not work. But let's go out of voltage block into the amp CV. And you got to remember too, you have to route CV and you have to route audio. A complete modular signal has both. So now I'm on fader number 8, which corresponds to the 8th output. Okay, check it out. So if I wanted to use this voltage block to control the volume, I very easily could. Now let me show you. This is a sequencer. So let's turn the sequencer on. Okay. All right. Okay, so what we have to do is feed voltage block a clock. So we'll go right from the poly 2. I'm going to use CV output number 12. The poly 2 is assignable, so you can assign any CV to any parameter you want. Okay, so now we got a clock signal coming in. So now what we need to do is tell the Poly 2 that basically what tempo we want. And how you do that is by either plugging in something that's USB that sends MIDI clock, or you can use a MIDI signal. You know, there's lots of ways that you can use the Poly 2 to, you know, tell it basically what tempo you want. So now all I got to do is take my deluge and when I turn on the deluge, it should start. If it doesn't, then I just have to, you know, check the path. So let's see. Okay, it's skipping around, which means it's probably on a clock division of some sort, or it's on an offset. Oh, it's on random. Okay. So let me fix that. Okay, now you see, check it out. The deluge, you can see the deluge going. And now you can see the voltage block going. So now if I want to sequence that audio, all we got to do is this. That's pretty much how you sequence it. Now, if I wanted to do it differently, so I can clear that just by holding Shift and then clear. So if I want to program it by step, because these are each steps, so it's 16 steps. Make it so you can see it better. Okay, step 1, let's set it halfway. Let's set step 2 all the way. Step 3 off, and then I'm going to keep going. So you can set it per step. And then the rest will be off. If I wanted to use this to modulate the performer, I would just go into another output. And now if I want it to glitch, okay, if I want to do that, I'll just plug this now into the glitch input, CV input. Now you can see the light. So what I want to do is time it. First of all, let me stop it from playing. Let me clear, because I just accidentally recorded something in that. So let me clear that. Okay. So now I'm going to program the glitch to come on the third step. And I'm going to have it stay on. We'll see if it works. Oh, whoops, hold on. Did I clear everything? Oh. Okay. Let's see what happens. Okay, now if I want to change it a little bit, so you can kind of see what you're doing here. Now, I don't really like it that it's just like one note. There's nothing really going on here. So let's fix that. Yo, if you guys are enjoying this, throw me a thumb on the channel, please, on the video. Okay, so now I'm going to go into the volt per octave so that I can control the pitch. Because right now it's just at different volumes. Let's change that. This is just as an example. This is not a song. All right. Okay. Now, instead of the glitch, let's do a reverb. Okay, let's do... We can bring the filter down. Now let's add the LFO. It's unclocked. Music. So now I would throw some sort of drum break. Let's go down to a better BPM for me. Okay, we have an issue. I have not yet told the voltage block when it needs to start at the beginning again. Right now, if I hit play, it's just going to start wherever I stopped it from. See? Like right now, it's going to start right here. I don't know if you can actually see that. I'm probably in the way. So I actually want it to start over from the beginning each time I hit play. So we need to send it a start-stop signal. So we'll go out of the poly 2 on 11, and I'm going to go into the start-stop of the voltage block. I'm going to check and see what output 11 is currently mapped for. It's a clock, so now I'm going to turn it into a start-stop. Okay, now it'll start at the beginning. Starting to move a little. Pretty much given you the full rundown of my workflow. If you want me to keep going, tell me so I know what's up. I can do a loop. I can record a loop in Bitbox and show you how to slice it, how to chop it, how to sequence it. I can show you how to do a polyphonic note. I can show you how to, yeah, I'm here, I'm live, I'm here. So if you want me to stay, let me know. If not, I'm just going to go chill with the family, get ready for the game or whatever. And that's, it's all good with me either way. Yeah, I see you. I see you're here. Just what, do you want me to make a beat? I kind of did what I was coming here to do. If you want me to keep going, just tell me what you want me to do. I'm here for the people today. So I'm at your disposal. Or I can talk about something else. If you got a question about NPC, you got a question about the Force, I'm here. I appreciate you being here. I really appreciate you being here. Q's my guy. Q has a really dope YouTube channel. And he's a really dope dude. So, you should check him out. Check out all these folks. Yeah, so the cool thing about this setup is that I can actually control hardware synths from the Poly 2. You know, like I could actually clock the MPC from the Poly 2. I could use the Poly 2 to send a clock signal to the MPC or to the Force or whatever. Yeah, and it's something about like moving your stuff around and rearranging stuff. You know, a lot of people don't like it, but I actually enjoy stripping everything down and starting over again. Not just in the modular, but like in the studio, I often will have an idea about a different way I want to work, and I'll just rip everything apart. That's why we're over here now. We were on the other side. But a couple months back, I just was like, I want a better visual. I needed to get that damn stripper pole out of the middle of every video. I have a stripper pole over here. I got 2 of them. They're pillars. They hold up my damn house, but they look like stripper poles. Well, I guess I'll play. I'm gonna play you guys out. I played Vision Flows to start the stream. I'll play you guys out with Tinfoil. And yeah, I would love to, you know, if you guys aren't on Spotify or whatever, there's I guess it's on Apple Music. I don't have Apple Music, but wherever you stream, it's out there. So if you want to support the cause, you know, give it a listen. It helps. You know, it's cool. So I'll play you guys out with Tinfoil, and I'll see you guys next time.
Beats, I body bag 'em, toe tag 'em, the flow dragon. Go at 'em, how I split a whole atom scientifically. My efficiency won't let me waste words. Chef is son, like some venison, but what I make heard. Non-cannibal animals traveling in groups. I'm damaging like chucking a javelin in the booth. This rapper's lunch is chain crunch like abdomens past the juice. I'm like crashing into a shooting gun. Killed yourself cause you felt yourself like you was home alone. See me, #1 like E.T. phoning home. In theory I will create like big bangs when I attack. A saying Prince when slaying things, or when I rap. Never cap, see shots, I send them back like Capella facts. My pen a jetpack that could propel a craft. Inner space, beats I beast on in your face. I eat on dinner plates. You peons been disgraced. Been whipped into shape for eons, win this race. I'm so dope I make trap rappers assimilate. They try to, but my rap patterns a different make. Both vintage and futuristic, I stimulate all senses. Ayo, I rhyme in all tenses. Bars, heavy things, anything that Arnold bench punches. And pumping iron is something I am equipped to deliver. With one shot from my quiver, I'll put a stop to these critters. Exterminator, Terminator with the verbs of slayer. All determined players need some words of prayer. NFL, we call that shit a Hail Mary. A Tupac Shakur, these rappers jokes like two knocks on doors. I'm still the go-to option for those who watch the score, not one who drops the ball. Specialist, word bank larger than a deficit. When I'm rhyming, dudes be like, he always on some extra shit. Megalith, couldn't move me with Mayan technology. The kind of dude you see, only described in said prophecy. How I rep the Bronx should spark a new renaissance. Depending on me to lead is how I know we ending on.